Hey everybody, I guess we're live. It wants us to find a face. I'm gonna find a face. Yeah, I'm finding a face.
You gonna find your face?
I guess it's trying to find a face. It wants to, I guess it's probably looking for filters or something like that. But anyway, welcome to Unsealed Life Beyond the Bolts. I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider and a couple of other things. And you are Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines.
Just me.
Yeah, no, you're more than you.
Shit. I'm me.
Yes, but you're Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing
Okay,
Engines.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's why you're here.
Yeah.
I didn't just like pull you off the street like randomly.
No, it's not like
You know.
random homeless guy that, you like brought in here to talk about shit.
No, I don't do that.
All right.
No, not my gig at all. So, we've been doing this show now since, I guess the last weekend in March. So,
Yeah, I mean, we missed a week because I was like all messed up with allergies and shit, but...
Well, because it was Easter.
Yeah.
And you were mad about not being able to spend Easter
Correct.
the way you wanted to, and it was raining and it was crappy and you didn't feel good, and
Yeah.
it was all the things, as we like to say around here, all the things.
It was all the things.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, this has been a fun thing that we've started here, and I always like to kick things off with just like an update on the week. So how are you in day like 9,000 of freaking lockdown? Whoa, you're breaking things.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty horrible.
It's
It's pissing me off. So, I mean, I want everybody to get back to work, get back to racing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, and we've actually been able to do that this week a little bit.
Yeah.
There was 3 races.
Just this weekend.
From Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to see that some series have been able to make it work.
Oh, absolutely.
And
tracks.
Yes. Track series, and broadcasting companies as well. So you had Dirt on Dirt that put together the race from Ray Cook, and then Speed 51 over at Cherokee there. I think there was another race in there too, but I don't know if it was
Lancaster.
broadcast.
Yeah.
Lancaster.
Yeah,
did they broadcast?
It was broadcast on Dirt on Dirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I watched it. So.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I mean, and of course the super guys, the Lucas and World of Outlaws guys, or like those big series, but of course our guys aren't back to racing yet.
Well, I mean, crate stuff, no, not right now.
Right.
I haven't seen anything. Well, no, I think 311 maybe ran a crate race.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't up on it. I
So.
didn't really. I guess I'm not as connected to current
311 in
events.
North Carolina.
Right. And I'm sure there's a few more. I mean, I'm glad to see some of these states and racetracks coming out of lockdown, but definitely looking forward to when we can have fans at the races for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, to me, racing's all about the fans.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and do you know that I went to the farmer's market yesterday, and while I was there, I realized that was the first time I actually left the house all of last week.
Wow.
I just went from one farmer's market to the next farmer's market, and that
Holy
was it.
crap.
Didn't leave.
Damn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You have not got the COVID then.
Yeah.
Because you're just like following the rules.
I guess. I don't have the COVID. I'm honestly just so over it. I know there's some bad areas, so I don't want to sound like I'm insensitive or anything like that, but it's not even a but. I don't want to sound insensitive. It just, looking at our current situation here, there's just not a whole hell of a lot to worry about where we live.
I mean, 0.003% of our population in this county has COVID or was diagnosed with it. I mean...
I know.
So, I mean...
Oh, I learned an interesting stat this week.
What?
I learned it yesterday because, there's always stats going around. And, I'd never really thought about it, but like, a lot of times we're treating this like if we all stay home that nobody's going to die at all.
Right.
Truth is, I don't know if you were aware of this, but like people die.
Yeah, I mean
they do.
Yeah, there's other factors in life that actually lead you to death, so it's not too surprising to me.
Well, I mean, otherwise funeral homes, clearly couldn't stay in business, but here's what I learned. Do you know the average number of Americans that die on a weekly basis?
I don't.
It's like between 50 and 60,000 a week, according to CDC numbers that I saw.
Right.
So I just thought that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
it really was, because I,
it's a lot of people.
It's just a lot. Anyway, not to talk about death.
No.
But there's something good that you did this week. You made me something.
I totally did make you something.
You did, and so I want to show I want to show the class because it's super cool.
It's like really heavy though.
It is, and it's a little bit dangerous, but I mean that's so suitable. So he created this. This is giant saw blade, and on it, I know it might be hard to see on camera, but it says, some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen. I make it happen. So that's pretty cool. And he put all of my websites on there too. So Steve, I want to publicly thank you for such an awesome gift.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to have one hell of a time hanging it, but I will figure it out, and it's going up in my office. So it's orange and...
Yeah, I made it, you hang it. I ain't got nothing to do with that shit. So.
That's going to be your new catchphrase. I make it, you hang it.
That's right.
Yeah. So anything else this week that's been interesting for you?
No, not really. I mean, we're going into, apparently next Friday, maybe North Carolina gets out of, we go into phase 1.
What are the odds?
Yeah, the over-under on that is... We're probably, like I posted last night on my Facebook page, we're probably going to follow Oregon.
Yeah.
And probably be shut down until July.
Yeah, but 1 week at a time,
Our governor's
though.
a complete total fucking idiot.
1 week at a time, though, I'm sure.
Probably so, yeah. Yeah.
Just 1 week at a time. So we can say hi to some folks here. So we have Brian, says he's still going strong here in the Corona capital of the country.
Nice.
So, and Dave is in the northern. John says hi. Oh, Dave's from Northern California.
Yay!
And,
Yeah, there we go.
So
yeah,
that's
you
cool.
guys are pretty screwed right now because your asshole governor is like letting people loose from prison, but like banning you from going to the beach.
That is just how crazy is that? How crazy?
It's completely insane.
I think it is. All right, so let's see here. We've got Mikey says nice shirt, Steve.
Yep, there you go, Alexandrin.
Danny says, hey, East Coast Danny, happy birthday today. I noticed that it was your birthday today, so
nice.
happy birthday. Nick noticed my hat. So he says, another great hat, Kate. I actually bought another hat this week.
And why are you wearing these hats?
I am wearing a hat. This is my protest hat. I am protesting. And why I'm protesting is that I get my hair colored because I'm not 20 anymore. And
no.
I know. It's like so shocking, right? But so I am.
You learn shit every day.
I am protesting the lockdown. My hats are a protest of the lockdown because I, of course, want to support my stylist. And yes, of course, I want to get my hair colored. Yeah, it's that. But it's not. Yes, I know that I could go to the store and buy a box of color and do it to myself. I am not incapable. And if I had to adapt, I could. But the point is I shouldn't have to. And so I'm wearing a hat to cover up my gray hair and to protest the lockdown.
You're not going to lower. You're not going to lower your standards and go back to when you were 20 and get out the peroxide and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I started my business, then I knew what I was getting into and that there was a lot of sacrifice involved. And I ate ramen noodles and I used Suave shampoo and died out of a box.
Everybody who's self-employed's been there.
Yeah, but it was worth the sacrifice. It was a sacrifice that I was consciously making. And this particular time, I was all in, ready to sacrifice in the beginning, but now I'm just being punished. So this is my way of protesting.
There you go.
Is to
the
level
hat.
up. It is, and there's gonna be a new one next week because it's on its way.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody's got something to look forward
anyway.
to. A new hat.
I like hats anyway. So when
I'm just sticking with my Profab hat.
Profab, yeah. I feel like that's a product placement right there.
My hair is like all jacked up from. I had my mom cut my hair like 3 weeks ago, but I need another haircut. I either got to find an underground barber or convince my mom to cut my hair again.
Hey, Mom, it's time to get out the bowl. Time to get out the bowl.
Exactly.
Nah, she does a great job for sure. So this is my protest hat. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any other questions here to kick us off. And let's see, Danny says pissing him off too. And Josh says that 604, 602 lates, and 602 mods at 311 is a crazy race. Okay.
It's 311, so what do you expect? it's always crazy at 311.
Yeah, it is. All right, looks like it's time to jump into some questions.
That is my favorite racetrack in the entire world, though.
Yeah, it's the Daytona of dirt, right?
Well, they call it the Daytona of dirt, but I just love the place. So.
Yeah.
One of them places you get around good and you just like it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you know what? Before we jump into questions, because I see we've got our first question, I've got some more questions.
Yep.
We got to talk about what we're drinking today.
Just Ultra on tap.
Ultra?
On the kegerator.
Okay, and I could say
basic.
whatever I want.
I'm being a basic bitch, so.
Being basic. You kind of are. All right, and so I am drinking from my PitPay, because this is a cool app.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I met the guys from PitPay, Like, I swear to God, they didn't even know that I'm doing this like product placement. But PitPay is an app, and you are able to buy pit passes. I mean, obviously nothing now, but when this gets going, any racetracks, you can contact, I think it's pitpay.com, and talk to the guys there. But the idea is you sign a waiver just once, and you can buy your pit pass online, and then be able to just flash your phone when you get to the gate to have your pit
which
pass.
is pretty cool.
So I mean, I just think that's a really cool way.
There's a lot of places going with that. I think the Newsom Race Series, they're going with that. Crate Racing USA, I think they're on board, because that's actually where we met them, was when we went to that.
The Southeastern Promoters Workshop.
Yeah, the Promoters Workshop we went to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually drinking Tang.
Fucking astronaut, I guess.
I'm 12. I am 12 again.
And by the way, I'm sweating because it is like 85 freaking degrees out here today for the first time in, I don't know, since August. So
it's a warm one.
It's pretty warm.
It is. It is. All right. So we've got our first question here, Steve. Is it legal to put block off instead of a power valve in carburetor on a 604 crate late model, if you know?
I mean, it depends on the series that you're running. I mean, anything dirt late model, I mean, you can, essentially the carburetors, run what you brung kind of deal. There's asphalt series that have really strict gauge rules and stuff like that, where it could be legal or it could not be legal. I don't know. It just depends on the series that it is, asphalt, dirt, whatever. I mean, usually that's going to be, if it's something like that, it's going to be spelled out in the rules. But that being said, I have never in my life seen an advantage to blocking off a power valve on a dirt late model. So.
Okay. Well, which is probably the most important.
And I'm not a carburetor guy. My brother's a carburetor guy, but I do know enough to tell you that I've never seen an advantage to doing it.
Yes. Okay, there's a personal message to you. Kristen Michelle Bailey says, "Hey Steve, I need to come see you so you can meet the kiddos. Much love from Munchkin."
Oh yeah, there you go. Come on.
Cool deal.
Bring it.
All right, next question. Actually, this is going to be a kind of a repeat, but
yep.
Ben asks, would you recommend a 3 or a 4-inch air filter for a dirt modified?
Either one. Either one's going to make the same power. There's no difference. If you're running, weekly shows, 20, 25 lap races, 3-inch works just fine. I'll recommend a 4-inch if you're going to be running, 50 to 100 lap races. Just because you have more filtering capacity at the end of a race.
I'm just seeing this comment right here. So Danny says, I noticed Steve's beer is always full. He's got a great bartender or needs to drink faster.
I'm my own great bartender. She won't give me a beer.
I bought you the damn kegerator.
Well, that's why
mean,
you
what
won't.
more do you want?
That's why you won't give me a beer.
Oh goodness. All right. Okay, so Nick asks, what's your suggestion on jets in a 4412 on a 602 and plugs?
Honestly, anybody who asks a jet question, it's a loaded question. I can't tell you. I don't know. Because I don't know, number one, who built the carburetor, what was done to it, what was done to the metering blocks, what's done to the center section. I mean, there's just so many variables there. If I give you a jet size to go with, then I am essentially leading you to potentially burning your motor down or something horrible. So I can't tell you. If you're going with if we're talking a box stock Holley carburetor on non-oxygenated race gas, generally, if we're talking like pump gas or let's say like a 110 or something like that, generally Holley ships those carburetors out at least 2 sizes rich just to cover their own ass. So you've got at least 2 jet sizes there to play with. But if I'm going to advise you on a, if David Smith built the carburetor, call David Smith. I'm the wrong guy to answer the question, honestly.
Well, but your answer is definitely talk to your carb guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Or also you can tune it on a dyno.
Yeah, I mean chassis dyno, engine dyno, whatever. I mean, we'll get the carburetor where you need to be.
Spark plug recommendation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, on average, I'm going to always recommend either the AR94 Autolite or the R57 24-8 NGK.
Yeah.
In general, you just can't go wrong with those 2 plugs on a 602 or a 604. I mean, is there a little bit to be gained here and there? Yeah. I mean, we've messed around a lot here lately with the X85 VP fuel, and you know, one heat range of plug will clean up the bottom end a little bit, but you'll lose a little bit of top end. But I'm talking like, you know, 1 or 2 horsepower, 1 or 2 foot-pounds of torque, not, you know, some massive amount of power gain or loss from a plug. But either one of those 2 plugs is what we found to be best on average for everything.
Cool. All right, I've got another great question right here. Oh, and before I do that, I mean, if anybody wants to, we got a ways to go because you just started your beer here.
Yeah.
So feel free to invite some friends. I mean, hit that share button and invite some people to join us on this live show here. So that makes it fun. Oh, and in case you need to duck out early, or if you're just joining and you want to hear the whole show, today's Sunday, of course, and tomorrow, Monday, this will be rebroadcast onto YouTube. And we have now, I don't know if you knew this, but I download the audio and I put it up on the Racing Insiders podcast. So RacingInsidersPodcast.com, and you'll have the replay of the show there. Because, you know, sometimes you just want to listen and we don't show anything.
If there's any background noise going on, we got a fan going on the phone right now because the phone's in basically direct sunlight.
Yeah, so tell us if we're having a hard time hearing. We got an air conditioner going on next door and a fan right here. So apologize if there's some interference, and any of you that are live on here, just let us know if that's really bothersome.
So anyways,
to you. Okay, so I've got a great question for you right here. And that question is, so for you, Steve, what is the optimal engine temperature for best performance on a 602 and 604? And do you prefer a low water pressure system like 18 to 22 pounds or a high water pressure system like 30 to 32 pounds? So first start with temperature.
Pretty much anytime we dyno, I mean, now there's variances involved here, usually with engine oil, believe it or not. But usually you're going to produce your peak power numbers around 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So water temperature. Oil temperature, you're probably running anywhere from 40 to 50 degrees hotter than your water temperature is, on average. Some oils start actually losing power pretty drastically once they get around that 240, 250 range. So one of the reasons why I like the Klotz so much is because it was formulated to run hotter than that. So like where some oils are falling off really bad power wise, because what's happening is the oil's so thin that the lifters are bleeding down in the engine and you're not getting, you know, full valve lift.
Okay. Because you need a little bit of resistance in there.
Well, I mean, they're bleeding down. So like stuff like the Klotz, I've seen it where, like when we tested with John Klotz originally on his oil, that was one of our main concerns is, you know, what's it do at, you know, 230 to 280 degrees oil temperature. So we did all that testing, and a lot of the oils that we tested along with his fell off pretty quick, where his like carries those power numbers out as the oil temperature increases. I know we're talking about water temperature, but oil temperature has a lot to do. It's directly related to water temperature. So that being said, what was the second part of the question?
Well, and do you prefer a high pressure or a low pressure water system?
High pressure, absolutely high pressure. I personally ran on my own car for years. I ran the CNR high pressure system, and the higher the pressure, the higher the boiling point. I've won races before with my water temperature gauge literally wrapped around to 300 plus degrees with a high pressure system, and it's a enclosed pressurized system. So I mean that system there probably ran about 60 pounds when it was peaked out.
Wow.
And so anything you do high pressure, that's what you need to do. The higher the pressure, higher the boiling point, longer you can race the engine without it losing water. Because what hurts the engines is when they start losing water. You lose water, you create steam within the system, and that's what, you know, blows head gaskets or, you know, starts melting heads and shit like that. Now that CNR system that we ran, like I said, I've won races, you know, with the temperature gauge wrapped around, and never hurt the engine because we never lost any water, and we never created steam pockets.
Well, I've definitely heard you say before when people ask about optimal water temperature that, or they worried that they might be overheating. A lot of times you'll ask them the question, well, were you pushing water? So,
Well, I mean,
tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a big deal too. I mean, I get guys. I mean, the most common call that any of us engine builders get, I don't care who you are, the most common call is, "Hey, my shit's running hot. What do I do?" Well, how hot's it running? Well, it's running 250 degrees on my water temperature gauge. Have you pushed water out of the system? No.
In other words, like steam coming out of the where
Correct.
you can see it.
So, well, I mean, water.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, well, then you're not losing water out of the system. Technically, you can run it that hot because you're not going to hurt the engine, per se. But, obviously you want to get the temperature cooled back down. So then I give a bunch of advice on how to do that and blah, blah, blah. But definitely, as far as that question for that you just asked, high pressure system. That being said, you need to have a radiator that is built to run high pressure. So don't just randomly put a 32-pound cap on a $100 radiator that you bought from, I don't know, Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that, because what's going to happen is, as that thing builds pressure, because the radiator's not designed for that, you're going to expand the tubes, and then it has the opposite effect.
And I learned something interesting on the whole tube expansion thing, because basically they're little ovals that go through there.
Correct.
But truthfully, tubing wants to be round. I don't even know why they don't make them round. I don't know. But what happens with those oval tubes in there, when they do get overheated, then they push, and what they end up being is circles. And at the point that they end up being circles, is that then they start touching, and then it's blocking off.
It blocks airflow going through the radiator.
Yeah,
Correct.
so I thought that was super interesting.
But high pressure system, for sure.
Yeah.
Just here's the thing. I mean, you're buying a however much you spend on the engine, buy the best radiator you can get, and on dirt late models, run a double pass. Do not try to run a triple pass. Triple passes are for asphalt racing, where you've got pretty much forced air intake and everything else. Don't run anything more than a double pass in a dirt late model, or a modified. I mean, modifieds, if you're racing in the Midwest, run an IMCA. I mean, alcohol cools the engine, so you can get away with a single pass radiator and probably a two-blade fan in the middle of summer. You're not going to get away with that here in North Carolina or Alabama.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're on race gas.
Good thing to know. All right, got another question for you. Danny asks, Steve, have you dynoed an engine with Kendall 2050 synthetic and a quart of Power Punch?
No, because I haven't used Kendall since 1987, 88. Well, no, it probably would have been about 1989 was the last time I used Kendall oil. And Kendall, from what I understand, essentially turned into was it Brad Penn?
Oh, but then I think Brad Penn got taken over by somebody
He
else too.
got taken over by somebody else. I got an email the other day from somebody with or I think it's Penn Grade or something like that is what they're calling it now. Some shit like that. But yeah, I mean the old Kendall stuff is what we ran years ago. At the time, I don't even know if Kendall still exists, but at the time they were about the best oil on the market. And then Royal Purple came along, and then everybody started getting into oil for race engines. And it's not a combination I've ever ran.
I don't even know what Power Punch is.
I have no clue. Never heard of it.
I mean, it sounds like a beverage. Power Punch.
Probably be a pretty fucking good beverage.
Yeah. I don't know. I could go whip something up and call it that. I don't know. What kind of vodka? Let's start with that as our base. I don't know. Power Punch. I need one of those like Incredible Hulk fists.
Yeah.
And then that would be fun.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think I see another question, but I have a whole nother topic to discuss with you today.
Okay.
That I don't think that you and I are going to see eye to eye on.
Oh God, here we go.
But maybe we will.
Right.
So I have a racer who reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me a private message, but he also posted the same thing on my personal Facebook, and he posted it in several groups. So it's kind of out there, and maybe people are discussing it.
Okay.
So he says, so Eric asks, he says, to all fellow racers, myself and a couple of friends have been kicking around a couple of ideas. This corona thing has put a strain on all of us, on small business and even large corporations. So I thought we would float a couple of our ideas out to all of you. When we are allowed to go back racing, we thought it might be a good idea to come up with a way to give back to the facilities and the promoters that give us a place to race. Now, before you all bark back, just give it some thought. A couple ideas were, what if we decided to race the rest of the season, however long or short it might be, without prize money or points, just for fun, bragging rights? Just show up and race our cars as a way to support the racetracks and promoters. And just hear me out, these tracks that have not been opened up still have costs incurred. I'm sure some of them have lost significant financial support. The maintenance costs are still there, bills are still there, revenue is not. The reality is that this has cost everyone significantly. And another idea is to race half of the races without prize money and no points. And then most people rent transpond, or there's just more. But basically, what do you think about racers racing for free to help out the tracks?
If you've got enough money to race for free, that means you're pretty loaded. So go run SCCA, because that's the only organization I know of in the entire world where you race for free. Do not race for free.
Yeah.
No. If you wanna go for a, if you want to be, help the track, then do a cut purse or something like that. That's on you. You want to go race for that shit, go race for that shit. Me personally, I'm not going to step foot out of my damn door for nothing other than a normal purse.
Well, and I have an opinion on it too. And I actually agree with you, but I agree with you for different reasons. So,
You agree with me?
Well,
everybody marked this date on the freaking calendar right now. She just agreed with me on some shit.
I did.
Holy crap.
I think we have this show just so that one of us can say to the other, "You're so right about that." Yeah, I think when we were editing one of these, my assistant pulled out. She's like, "Do I need to just keep this clip right here where it says that Kate, you're right?" No, but I do have a different perspective on it. And my different perspective is I've been talking about this since late March, early April. Ever since this went down, I've been worried about racetracks. And so my solution to it, just like buying a hat in protest and leveling up and not sinking down below and going below my standards, my thought has been from the very beginning, hey racers, why not use this as an opportunity to learn how to gain some fans, to communicate with fans, to build up your fan base, and so when we do go back racing, that whether you're bringing 2 more people to the track or 5 or 10 or 20, because you've been out there, that you are creating the excitement and not just leaving it all on the track's shoulders to create that excitement. If every single racer, just think about it. If you've got 50 racers at an event and they each brought 5 extra people to the track, or got 5 extra people, then that's 250 fans at $20 a piece, and that's $5,000.
Well, to me personally, this is a time tracks need to step up and actually get off their asses and do work.
I would agree with. I'm 100% right there.
Because what I've experienced in all my years of racing is, and I'm not going to call out anybody. I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody. But I'm just saying, in all the years I've raced and all the places I've raced at, it's like most or a lot of promoters, and I'll say promoters because they're not necessarily promoters.
In air quotes, okay.
It's like open the gates and they will come.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know why?
Because they saw Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner 3 years ago.
So it's open the gates and they will come.
I hate that.
So you know what? I don't want to see any racetrack close, but maybe we're better off without some of those assholes who think open the gates and they will come. And maybe we need to support the guys who are on Facebook and social media of whatever kind, and doing everything they can to promote their sponsors. That's my pet peeve right now. Is you've got racetracks, you've sponsored a racetrack,
yeah,
and I have yet to see one fucking post from this racetrack
Not one.
crediting her for sponsoring this fucking racetrack for a whole goddamn season.
Nope.
So you know what? Fuck you. Do some fucking work.
No.
That's what I say about racetracks.
Well, and I think it's on them too to be keeping the excitement alive. There's absolutely no excuse for it. There really isn't. Even if you as a track promoter and that's your side gig and you've got a full-time job, if you don't have 15 minutes a day to spend promoting your track, why are you doing what you do?
Well, as a matter of fact, the racetrack that you frickin' sponsor,
Yeah,
they just had a race last night
I know.
that was broadcast.
Well, we don't need to call them out because we can
No,
probably have a
I'm
conversation.
not going to call them out, but they just had a race last night. You know what they decided to do? A run what you brung street stock race.
Yeah.
Rather than she sponsors the street stock class. You know what I haven't seen yet? One frickin' thing
Not one.
saying that you sponsor the street stock class.
No.
To me, that is complete and total bullshit. And if you're looking at this, get off your asses and do some fucking promotional work for the people who support you.
Well, I think that goes across the board.
And if you want to call me, because I'll talk to you about it, and I'll tell you the same goddamn thing.
Well, yeah. I'm not even gonna try to.
No, that shit
Try to
pisses
calm
me
you
off.
down.
It pisses me off. I mean, you might be able to tell it pisses me off.
It does. I know. I should be more mad. I think it's because I've already. There's like a scale of how mad you can be. If my glass of mad is full or empty or whatever, but or maybe I've got only so much mad cash to spend,
Right.
and I spent it all this week already on my Carol Baskin's neighbor.
Well, I mean, you opted into a whole deal that lasted a whole season.
I did.
And the coronavirus is none of our faults. It is what it is. I mean, you pledged your money, you've given your
Wrote the
money,
check.
you wrote the check, and I have yet to see one post about your company.
Not one. No, I'm not on the website. Haven't received a thank you note. Haven't gotten a text message or an email, but I'm pretty sure my check is cashed.
Oh, I guarantee the check's
I'd have to take a look, but
So,
I'm pretty sure.
So
that
what
my
I would
check
like to see
there.
is promoters actually promoting. So if you want to race for free, I ain't throwing off on nobody. You're a fool. Like I said, go run SCCA. Because if you got enough money to race for free, you need to be running SCCA,
Well,
not anything else in the entire world.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I am still staunch in this is everybody in racing's time to promote, and we're a giant ecosystem of racing, and everybody needs to pull their own weight
Well,
in
you
this whole deal.
Better learn how to do your shit.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of activity from any racetracks. And, I've even I've spoke for free at the promoter's workshop. I have, some downloads that racetrack promoters can take advantage of. I have put the call out there if you want to ask me questions. I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time feeling sorry for somebody if I've put out my hand and offered some help.
Like I said,
They
I don't
wanna
feel
take
sorry for
advantage
none of them, because if they're not willing to do the work
Yeah.
and they eat shit in this whole deal, have at it.
Well,
This
I
is
mean,
what
I
happens.
hate how it's going to hurt the racers, though, because then you've got, that's just a tough deal.
Well, I mean, this is hurting everybody right now.
Well, it
So-
obviously is.
Either use this time to be proactive and gain fans and gain people and promote your sponsors, or use this time to sit on your fucking thumbs and, I don't know, finger yourself, basically.
Well,
God damn. I mean, shit
wow.
just pisses me off.
Please make sure, absolutely, that I can never monetize this video.
Well,
Alrighty, so I'm going to see with some, feel free to drop in your comments on this topic, and I'm going to read some of these out here. So, and let's see, there we go. And it looks like there's a couple of other questions here.
cool.
But I just
We
want to
like
continue
questions.
with this. Oh, absolutely. And keep going. Danny agrees with you on the racing for free.
Yep.
And Ken likes my thoughts on this. Josh says dumbass. Ken asks why I'm sponsoring that track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're asking the same question
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
pretty much the same question I have too. So yeah.
Especially when there's a competing place prominently displayed on their Facebook page rather than her.
Yeah, that makes me less than happy, I'll be honest. So, Annalyn's watching from the Philippines. That's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, so welcome. Danny says, Steve, you think a 4.47 cam swap cam makes more power than a regular cam?
A 4.7 swap? In an open engine, it does if you have the right header. You have to have the right header to be to combine with that 4.7 swap deal. So if we're talking like a steel head motor or super motor or something like that, yeah, the 4.7 swap is a good deal, but you need to hook up with somebody who knows exhaust, and I would probably talk to somebody like Profab or BA or something like that.
Cool. Larry says, thanks for your answer, and this must have to do with the carburetor question, but without power valve, you have to run 10 sizes up jets on a carburetor, just something I'm trying.
Right, yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never found a scenario on a crate engine where no power valve has been a benefit.
Okay. Gary asks, will y'all be going up to Rolling Thunder? I don't know where Rolling Thunder is. Do you?
Is that the old, damn, did I race there one time? Are we talking about in Virginia, just across the border from North Carolina?
I don't know, we're going to look it up right now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it wouldn't really help me.
I can't remember
I'll try to
the
Google
track
it.
used to be called. I think they just opened it up again. It's been down for like several years.
Oh. Rolling Thunder Speedway. If I'm like safariing it, I should say Google it, but no, I am Googling it actually. Ararat, Virginia.
Ararat,
right.
yeah, I raced there actually, a couple times.
Yeah.
And good little short, like bull ring type racetrack, kind of the shit I grew up on. Me personally, I'm not gonna randomly go there for no reason. If my son wants to go there, we'd probably go there with him and race.
That'd be cool.
It's a good little racetrack to learn on, I'll tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that might be a good opportunity. I don't know, maybe I'll get out into the world a little bit and make some trip. So Dave asks, where can I get a 602 crate engine from? Me.
You, Pace Performance.
Yes, me, Pace Performance.
City Chevrolet, Newsom Chevrolet.
Yep, Newsom Raceway Parts.
Newsom Raceway Parts,
all of those guys are all on our website at CrateInsider.com. And on that, right there on the homepage, of course, you can go to the products and you can order it from me. But truthfully, you can get it from one of our advertisers, probably even a little bit cheaper than what I can.
Well, you kind of have the big three there.
I do have the big three. Yeah, so they're right there.
That's your sponsors. I mean, meaning.
Yeah. Of course, with Newsom and City and Pace. I mean, and I love working with all of them. And there's different scenarios for each.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
But definitely, my advice: make a phone call. Don't look at the online price. Little down low. Just telling you.
Yep, giving up some secrets, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, because we all have minimum advertised price, GM will penalize us if we all have to have the same price online. So, is what it is.
So, definitely make a phone call. Don't just buy it online.
So, Andy raced at 311 last night. I think that's pretty cool in the comments here.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Flincham, yeah.
Oh, so this is, I haven't even read this whole question yet, but just from the first, 5 words, I can already tell it's going to be one of those questions.
Okay.
One of those that you're really going to like.
All right.
You'll know. So Misty asks, for a 602 crate motor, some builders are claiming, and that's where I stopped, and I knew it would be a good one from here on out. So some builders are claiming they're getting 25 plus more horsepower after they freshen the engine. Is this legally possible, and how much more can you get out of one?
That is not legally possible, and they're 100% lying to you. The only scenario that I can see where that would be even remotely accurate is going to be in the top end of the engine. We had a rash of engines last year, even the first part of this year, that were coming through where they had, and I mean, you can look at Hendon Racing Engine's Facebook page and scroll down far enough, you're going to see pictures of it. Where these engines came through with like no 45-degree angle on the valve seat, in the cylinder head for the valve seat. I can see in a scenario like that where it's going to make a pretty significant difference, but it's not 25 horsepower. If somebody's telling you they're getting you 25 horsepower out of a 602, they're lying to your face, and they're 100%. What do you call it? False advertising, being a dick, lying. I mean, all that. I mean, combine all that, and that's what they're doing. So they're lying to you.
Well, you know, one of the main reasons we started Crate Insider was to get rid of the myths and you know, that kind of crap that, you know, hey, here's the magic fairy dust that's going to give you another 50 horsepower, and it's just a bunch of bullshit in order to sell you something. And of course, I mean, every day I want to sell you something. I mean, I'm not at all ashamed of that.
Well, I mean,
but I'm going to sell you the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, in the same sense, I mean, I get these questions every day. I mean, people call me up and be like, oh, you know, the Crate Insider flat air cleaner base, you know, they claim 3 or 4 horsepower, but, you know, if I add this up with whatever else gets 3 or 4 horsepower, I'm going to have a 600 horsepower crate engine. No, you're not.
Right.
Because when we test this stuff and when we compare stuff, we're comparing it to a standard. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Crate Insider flat air filter base might get you 3 or 4 more horsepower, but that's not 3 or 4 more horsepower included with blah 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 blah, because it's all standardized.
Yeah, we're just back to backing.
So we're back to backing stuff.
Mm-hmm. But this one does more than this, and this one does more than this.
Exactly.
And at some point,
all that doesn't add up. Now, what does add up at a certain point is going to be little stuff. Mm-hmm. So you get 1 horsepower here, 2 horsepower there. Yeah, it's going to add up to 10 horsepower. But for people that are like, oh, I'd have a 600 horsepower freaking 604 if I put everything on there that everybody says. No, you're not.
Well, would you say it's also like the law of diminishing returns? So at some point you do the big stuff and it makes this big jump, you know, it makes a big difference, but then you do another thing that would make a big jump in isolation, but when it's added to something that's already ideal, it's just optimized.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you let's say you've got the profab headers and you've got whatever else I recommend you put on there, and you don't have the Crate Insider air filter base, mm-hmm. and you put that on there, and you get 3 horsepower.
Whereas another guy might put it on and get 6 horsepower.
Well, the other guy might have some shitty other combination,
mm-hmm.
and get 10.
There.
So it's all relative to what you're comparing it to.
I'm gonna agree with you there. Look at that! I'm agreeing with you today.
It's fucking twice.
Twice.
Nice.
Wow. I almost feel like it's almost like strikes in baseball or something.
You're like super agree.
I'm nice today. I'm nice.
Mm.
Like I said, I already spent all my anger this week.
There you go.
Yeah. So my neighbor's trying to mess with me. So.
Oh yeah, she's got a freaking cunt of a neighbor. So.
Well, that was a little bit too much for video even. I'm gonna have to beep you. So, yeah, just problem neighbor. Nobody likes problem neighbors, so just gotta wait for her to move out. It'll be fine. Okay, another question. Daniel asks, lock the advance in the distributor?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, if we're talking like a dirt late model or dirt anything, absolutely lock the advance. I have yet to see anything with an advanced curve that does well as compared to like fully locked out distributor. So like, you know I've talked on here before about, 34 degrees being pretty much the safe place to be, timing for a 602, 604, whatever, and at no time is your unlocked distributor going to make more power than what it is at 34 straight across. So idle timing versus, peak RPM. So yeah, lock it out.
Well, there's something else I would love for you to explain.
Now we are getting. Well,
go ahead.
Me and my brother, we are going to be actually playing around a little bit on my kid's car with the, what is it, the E7? What's the name of that box?
I don't know.
It's a crane box where we can actually.
Well, it's fast.
It's a fast box. Sorry,
mm-hmm.
Where we can actually play with some ignition timing curves, because it's essentially like that 525 box where we can change timing curves. On the laptop and stuff. So we're going to be playing around with that a little bit, but that's, in the near future that we're doing this. I think we've got one on order right now. So
great.
Yeah.
So big question I would have for you. Now you've explained this to me before, and I don't understand it enough to even think about explaining it to anybody else. So, we've got a lot of the 602 series out there that run the HEI distributors.
Right.
Can you tell us, just as a baseline, how is it that how does the HEI distributor work? And then, part two, of course, why I know that you feel that HEIs aren't suited for racing, so maybe go into that. But can you start off and tell us about how an HEI distributor works?
I mean, without like spending a whole hour, no.
Yeah.
I mean, basically.
Or the quick difference between a billet distributor.
I mean, an HEI is like essentially late 1960s technology, and it does not belong in a modern race car. I mean, if you're stuck running one of the pieces of crap, then that's what you're stuck running. So I can give you several recommendations on how to make it run better.
Right.
But I mean, without spending a whole hour on the subject, no, there's no real way to do it.
Well, what's at the highest level? What is the difference between an HEI and like a regular billet distributor, like an MSD or Fast? One of those distributors.
Well, it depends on what you're triggering it with. I mean, if you're going to like trigger a MSD billet distributor or a fast distributor or something like that with their boxes, it's a massive gain over what a HEI is.
Is it gain in power, or is it gain in control or torque?
I mean, no. Potentially, you're gaining in power. Yes.
Okay. So, do you think like the HEIs that are mandated, it's never in a 604 series, it's always in the 602 series.
Right.
Then do you think that's just to try to make sure that they're all staying kind of controlled with
I don't
speed?
know why they do it, honestly.
Okay.
I mean the Smart series, I mean, you look at the Crate Racing USA street stocks and stuff like that. I mean, they let you run a billet distributor.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, the guy's got a bunch of money invested in a race car, and you want to put a freaking 1965 freaking HEI on one? That's just stupid. So yeah, I mean, let them do what they want to do.
All right, I have a hypothetical question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually don't have all the variables here, but
Okay.
I had somebody that was,
These are always good.
These are great. These are great. So I had somebody call me this week, and they said, "Okay, so Kate, should I run a 602 or a 604? My rules say I can run either one."
Oh yeah.
So my original thought was, well, I told him, well, you're going to want to run a 604. 604 makes more power. And then he tells me, well, with the 604, I have to run a 602, or I have to run a 2-barrel carburetor with a 604.
I had the same phone call.
Or I can run a 4-barrel carburetor with a 602.
I had the same phone call.
If all things are equal as far as weight goes, oh, well, then what was your answer? And maybe you found out more information than I did. I was like, dude, I cannot possibly know your rules.
I mean, my answer to the guy, or it might have been the same guy, might have been a different guy.
Yeah.
My answer was, I don't have a clue. Because I've never had to dyno, I've never had to test anything so stupid in my life as those two combinations. So I don't know. My initial thought would be go with the 604.
See, that was
with the 2-barrel. But I haven't had to dyno a 604 with a 2-barrel, so I don't know what that.
I know.
I mean, it's all this asphalt shit, man. Like,
is that what it was?
yeah, all these asphalt series, they come up with these stupid freaking rules, and then it's like anybody's guess on what the hell happens. So you get dudes going out there spending a bunch of money, coming up with whatever combination they can come up with, and then that doesn't work. But then now they have to buy something else so they can be competitive. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of a 604 with a 2-barrel carburetor on it. But I mean, not that it couldn't have happened, and I certainly don't have any data on it.
It's usually all asphalt when they do that shit. And I don't know. There's like...
Is this going to be a day where you're going to share your feelings, right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, the asphalt shit to me is just, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'll put it that way.
Good deal.
Well, I'm not a fan because of the rules that they come up with. And like I said, they just come up with these random freaking rules. And it's usually all bullshit. So.
All right, we got some more comments here.
All
So
right.
Josh says he loves the freelance language. But I don't know if you met Josh at PRI. I met Josh Christopher. He runs a series, And he and I, we were connected on Facebook before, and we actually met in person for just a few minutes. He's the one that introduced me to, connected me with the Stop Tech.
I don't think I did.
There.
I don't think I did meet him because I had the COVID at PRI.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you were still. Then you were walking around. Were you being a?
I was spreading it.
You're a dick. All right. All right. Next up. I'd like to see seal bolts totally removed. Want to see what's inside. Do it. Seal bolts protect the cheater more than keep the field legal. I'm going to disagree with you there, Steve.
If you're running a series seal as an engine builder, your entire business is basically on the line. So what you're saying there is 100% false. Now, if you've got a engine with seal bolts in it, yeah, I want to see that thing come apart.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you've got a series seal in one, no. Anybody in their right mind is not going to cheat one up. Now, like I said, anything with a bolt, like an old style bolt, because bolts haven't been around for what, 4 years now?
I don't know. I haven't really.
I think it's like 3 or 4 years now.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, bolts have not been around. So if you got like a bolted
because
motor,
they went to the caps.
yeah. I mean, if you got a bolted motor, yeah, I want to see that son of a bitch come apart. But like a series seal, no, it's 100% false. Most of it's really rare to see anyone cheating up a series sealed engine. If the guy does it, he's out forever. That's it. You're done.
The engine builder is, yes.
So, the guys that I've seen who have been busted on series sealed engines probably do like 1 or 2 engines every 2 years.
Yeah.
There was one in the fast track era a year or 2 ago, and those dudes probably did like 3 or 4 engines a year, and they got thrown out because they had a bunch of stupid shit, and so they got tossed out. It's like I said, it's extremely rare to see any series sealed engine get thrown out for being wrong.
Great. All right, I got another one for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Francesca asks, on a 602, what fuel will give you the best power? 91 pump gas, 110, or E85?
If those are your 3 choices, definitely E85.
And if you're going E85, go with?
Well, X85 if you got the option, yes. But like if we're talking like pump E85 versus 110 versus pump gas, then the pump E85 is like definitely way better, and then the X85 is going to be way better than the pump E85.
Yeah, because it's just going to be far more consistent. Coming from like
well,
AP.
it's more consistent, and I'm still not 100% sure it's actually E85.
Oh.
There's that.
There's that.
It checks that, but
And I think an important distinction there is because we're talking about numbers. So you've got, when you see the numbers 91, 110, and 85,
right.
We're talking about 2 different things. So 91 and 110 are going to be octane numbers, and E85
Correct.
is going to be 85% ethanol.
Correct, yeah.
So you're not talking about an octane thing, and
No.
I think that confuses some people too.
Well, it can be confusing for some people, but yeah, I agree. But no, definitely go with the E85 in that scenario.
Yes. All right, next question. Mike asks, what do you think is the biggest help on a 602 with a 4412 500? So I guess a 4412 2-barrel carburetor, 500 CFM.
What's the biggest gain you can
What's
make?
the biggest help? What's the biggest thing this guy can do to help his 602?
Number 1, send your 4412 to Willie and have him put his cheater boosters in it. Oh shit!
We don't do that on this show ever. At
No. But I'm good friends with Willie. He's got some boosters he can put in there that will pass gauge checking at the average racetrack. That'll definitely pick you up some power. And then obviously from that point on, you're going to be working on exhaust. And exhaust is usually, if you're limited on what you can do in the carburetor, you need to start working on exhaust, and that's going to be the 2 areas that you're going to benefit from.
Well, it's interesting because I can't remember if I was talking to Willie or maybe I was talking to Don Blackshear from Pace Performance, and we were just talking about how interesting it is that pretty much all of the gains, all of these small gains that we've been finding with horsepower and torque have all been part of the air fuel system. You know,
Well, it all is. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's either the top with the carburetors and the air filter bases, the air filters, or it's on the bottom with the headers.
Well, look, we take engines apart every day, brand new out of the box, completely remachine them. So essentially, we're doing, like I've talked before, what GM can't do, and we're making all the engines equal. So where are your gains going to come from? Your gains are coming from what you're running for fuel, what you're running for exhaust, what you're running for carburation, what goes on top of the carburetor, what goes, past the collector on the headers. I mean, that's where your gains are being made. There's no gain that I'm gonna make your, if you send me a 604, I'm gonna make your 604 equal to the next guy's. So all the gains are from all this little shit.
Yeah, but we're seeing the biggest, broadest strokes from that
Correct.
side of things.
And that's where you're going to see it.
I mean, we've got our new fuel pump and stuff, but we're not really. It's just a really good fuel pump. I like the ProCam fuel pumps. You like them, and but it's not.
I mean,
something
I don't like them, but they're effective. They work.
Okay, well, but it's not a huge game changer to go from the ProCam fuel pump to one of the billet ones that are like 3 times as expensive. We're not seeing this huge horsepower deal.
They do the same thing. So.
Right. So
I'm just not a fan of them because of the way they're designed. But
okay.
That's just me.
We all have our things. We all have our things. Josh, I guess maybe he's been watching the show or he just maybe found it on his own, but he mentions that he has just installed a new FAST system, and he says it's way nicer than MSD. I know you use FAST. And Terry, big shout out to Terry at Terry Johnson over at FAST.
I sell both.
Mm-hmm. Just MSD is a little more like the Kleenex of distributors, would you say?
The FAST stuff's built in America. The MSD stuff is built in China and Mexico, so you can pretty much go from there.
I had an idea. I don't know if I'll exactly do it because now we've got like 700 products in the store. So a few years ago, I kind of got on a whole like Made in America kind of kick, and I started putting like little American flags on some of our products, and it makes me wonder. It's kind of a lot of work to go through all of those photos, but should I start putting like little Chinese flags on some of the stuff that is made in China on our website?
Not if you want to sell it.
I know.
I mean.
So I think it's more of like a either Made in America or you don't get a flag. Maybe that's what it is.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if it's 100% Made in America, then I would definitely put a flag on it. And don't do like Moroso used to do years ago and put a American flag on the box saying Made in America, and then you pull the product out and it's made in Taiwan. But the box was made in America, which is why they put Made in America on the box.
That's just... it's such a tough deal. It really is. When you get complex manufactured parts,
absolutely.
It really is. I mean, some of this stuff is pretty straightforward and simple.
And there's some products that are made in America, but they have to produce some of the parts or components to it that are made overseas.
Yeah.
So,
we just don't know.
Just because of, I don't know.
So, Jason Orr says, hey, just a quick stop in to say hello.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jason Orr, of course, from 955 Automotive.
I don't have his shirt on today.
Okay. I think, did you have his shirt on yesterday?
I had his shirt
on.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago I had his shirt on.
Okay. And I know you guys are...
Yeah.
You guys like have meme conversations, I think, with one another.
We converse daily. Usually making fun of a lot of other people.
And if it wasn't for the COVID, where you're coming here every single day after work, you probably talk to Jason Orr more than you talk to me.
You're actually right.
I would agree.
I'm pretty sure.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Ken is scolding.
But he has sent me some mad-ass memes of their transsexual,
oh my God.
whatever the fuck that is.
You were talking about the director of health in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the director of health in Pennsylvania. It's like some tranny who looks like a dude, but it's a tranny. So, yeah, it's
why
pretty
is
epic.
it that when you say it, it just sounds so dirty? It just sounds so icky. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. So,
because I'm not politically correct.
You are absolutely not. But I will tell you this, and I think I've talked to you about it, is that when this all started, before the governor ever gave a press conference, Governor Roy Cooper. Cooper, yeah.
Cooper.
I know, I said Cooper.
Oh, okay.
It's my own way of saying it, apparently.
I thought you said Hooper.
No, Cooper.
Okay.
I guess the C was silent.
Okay.
Anyway.
I've never met a C that was silent. Usually they're loud as shit.
Anyway.
Anyways.
So before it all started, I just said, hey, on the other side of this, there's going to be a new normal and whatever. And I was using this as kind of like my phrase of things that we want to do in the meantime to, adjust and make things better for life on the other side of COVID, using the word new normal. But when I heard him say the word new normal, it was like hearing your grandma say the F word. All of a sudden went from being an okay phrase to just something that just became really weird, awkward, and icky.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Freaking bumming to be in here.
Yeah, so there's, I don't ever want to, that is just a phrase I don't want to hear anymore.
No, I don't want to hear new normal. I don't want to hear, what is it, flattening the curve, all that bullshit anymore.
Well, I
have
have
another beer, by the way.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you the only time I ever want to hear flattening the curve anymore is if I'm at the plastic surgeon. That's the only time that I want to hear about flattening the curve. What's another one? All these stupid new phrases that we've learned. Yeah, and he's working on it. I know there's a few. I was going to jot them down before the show because I figured they would come up at some point. So, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, especially the flattening the curve sucks, new normal. You know what? I'm going to make my own new normal. And I'm going to making my own new normal. And not make the word sound
What's
icky. Well, no. I'm just going to, I am designing a future that I want. So... It's not going to be this shitty thing I settled for. I'm not going to settle. I'm going to keep buying hats if that's what it takes. My protest hats.
Buy hats to cover your white hair.
I am. I am.
Notice, I got a hat on just because I can't get a freaking haircut.
Yeah. So Ken is scolding me. He said, "My gosh, please stop holding Steve back." So, all right.
Thank you, Ken.
It's all you. Okay.
Glad somebody's on my side.
Alrighty, so let's see, what do we got here? And then there's something kind of complicated, maybe you can take that offline, about, I don't know, vacuum advanced locks and something or another, so little too complicated.
What did it say?
Let me see, you can
I can't read it.
Okay. I got a good one, because I know the answer to this one too. So, Danny asks, Steve, have you dynoed with avgas? So aviation gas.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Avgas sucks. Do not run avgas by any means. I mean, if it's your only option, then, whatever you want to do with it. Yeah, do not run avgas. Avgas is something that was, really cool, God, probably 1962.
No, it was still cool in the 70s, because I remember going to the airport with my dad.
Okay, let's say 1972 then. So it was really cool back then because it was higher octane than what you could get at the pump and blah, blah, blah. But avgas does not produce the BTUs that's required to make power at sea level. Sea level or, within a range of, a couple thousand feet, something like that. So avgas is produced to make power at altitude, not at where we're racing race cars at. So it is not a good option.
Well, and I think that's a perfect thing to know because it's a fantastic fuel at 35,000 feet. Not so much.
It's a fantastic fuel at 10,000 feet.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe if you're racing in Denver.
Still, it's only 5,000 feet there.
Well, okay.
5,280.
All right. Well, I used to live there, so I
did.
Just guessing that Denver was 10,000 feet. I didn't know.
No, Leadville, Colorado is.
Okay.
And you get up to 10,000 feet, and
if they got a racetrack there, run avgas.
Okay, there you go.
I'll put it that way.
All right, I don't think so. My gosh, it's Leadville. It's been a long time since I've been out there.
If you live anywhere else in the world, do not.
Okay. All right, I got another one for you. All right, Caleb asks, what is the power difference in running the fuel pump on the block or on the back of the motor on the bell housing?
0. There is no power difference whatsoever. It's more about convenience than anything else. If I'm building a new car today, I'm going to run everything off the back of the block, or on the back of the bell housing, just for convenience. Block-mounted fuel pump, does the same exact thing as a bell housing mounted fuel pump. So there's no difference whatsoever. If you're going to be running some higher end stuff, like a lot of Willie's, like his Super Bowl stuff and all that, where you want to have like a high pressure type pump, I would probably more so recommend back of the block than a front of the block mounted.
No, and we've got such great options
But
today,
horsepower
too.
wise, back to back on a standard carburetor system, zero difference.
Well, and I think let's go ahead and wrap that up into another question that I get that is very similar to this. Yeah, it has nothing to do with fuel pumps, but there are some rules out there where you have to run all of the stuff on the front of the engine.
Yeah.
With a
Stupid.
Versus a lot of times in dirt lay models we're running, crank to water pump on the front, we're running power steering in the back. But people get penalized if they do that. So tell me, is there a power difference to running your power steering on the back versus running everything off the front?
Absolutely zero.
Well, and I think that's a little bit of information that should be out there.
No, it should be out there because there's no difference whatsoever.
Now, does the weight
Now-
make much
now,
difference? I mean, we're talking, 3 pounds? Maybe?
Damn, I'm gonna burp. In general, it's slightly more expensive to run it on the back
Okay.
than it will be to run everything off the front. If you're buying new stuff versus new stuff. But what a lot of these series that want to give you a weight penalty for running stuff on the back don't take into consideration is that, most guys that are going to run a 602 class, for instance, are going to buy a car that's used from somebody. And who are they going to buy it from? They're going to buy it from either, a 604 guy or a super late model guy. And they're going to put their 602 in it. What's it come with? All these guys are running shit off the back. So now you buy a car, but now in order not to take a weight penalty, you got to buy all this new shit to go on the front of your engine. It's completely stupid to me.
Yeah.
And any series that runs that is a fucking idiot.
Well, okay. I was trying to say things slightly
I mean,
nicer than
that rule.
No, I think that rule, and that's why I'm asking the question,
It's completely
because
pointless. It's like the single shifter versus dual shifter. There's some series out there that make you take a weight penalty for a single shifter transmission. I mean, usually like a Burt Gen 2. You know what? I go buy a used car, it's got a Burt Gen 2 in it. Do I have to go spend $1,400 on a new Falcon because it's got 2 shifters? It's completely stupid. And the people that run those series are stupid if they're going to penalize you that.
Well, I think what happens is I think you've got a rule book that you've copied and pasted from, you haven't even copied and pasted, you just have the same one, you slap a new year on it, make a couple of little changes.
You just randomly made up rules because you don't know what the fuck's going on, is what happens.
Somebody suggested it 5 years ago, you keep it in there.
Exactly.
I think if we were to look at some rule books today, it'll be interesting to see rule books a year from now. So for instance,
And by the way, I'd rather run the Falcon than the Gen 2.
Okay.
So there's the other messed up part about this thing. The Falcon's a way better transmission than the Gen 2. So
available at CrateInsider.com. That's our shameless plug of the day.
well,
right there.
I don't even know you sold them, but I'm just saying.
I have a roller slide on the shelf right now.
I mean, that's what's in my kid's car.
Yeah, and I have a roller slide on the shelf.
And there's a reason for it, because I got a chassis dyno and I know these things.
Yeah, the other stuff I can special order, but I do have a roller slide on the shelf.
Right.
I mean, they're beautiful, beautiful piece of equipment. Yeah, so they're a nice deal. But it'll be interesting to see rule books a year from now because for instance, safety rules, they change on the the SAE, the Safety Institute, whatever. They come out with new regulations every 5 years or so. So the SAE 20 I guess, or I don't know if it's 19 or 20, whatever it is, it's whatever the new one is, but it always takes 6 months to a year to get the new helmets that comply with that. So it'll be interesting to see if we're still seeing the 2015 SAE regulations in rule books next year. That'll be interesting.
Well, I would assume so, because those helmets are going to be just as safe as what the next ones are going to be.
Right, but there's
not.
But you also don't want a 10-year-old helmet. Not saying that those would be, but just.
No, but.
My point is, rule books don't always keep up with the information, kind of like what we have going on. It's a tough deal. It's tough to stay on top of the latest information.
Well, it's like seat belts.
Yeah.
Let's talk there because I got
Hey, shout out to our friends at Hooker.
Yeah, I got my good friends at Hooker. It's like seatbelts. Did you know if you own Hooker harnesses that you can send those back after 2 years and have them recertified?
Rewebbed. So they'll take
Rewebbed.
all of the webbing
Yeah, correct.
and resew it all with all of your fittings, and then put the new date on them.
Correct.
So,
And seatbelts are one of the big things I believe in, that should be a really well-policed deal. And it's not, unfortunately, but it should be. And you can send them back to them, they'll re-web them and recertify them.
well, safety has come a long way, and you were just telling me a story yesterday, because of course we've started the new Racing Rewind YouTube channel, which for right now is old races from your collection from
Correct.
the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
And one of them in there is the Tim Williamson Classic, and it's a memorial race. So talk a little bit about Tim Williamson, because I thought it was an interesting story.
He raced at my local track, which is why that memorial race has always been held at my local track. I watched him as a kid. He raced at the time what was called Sportsman Division, and the dude was awesome. I mean, he was a freaking great racer. Well, he went on to race Winston West, and he ended up getting killed actually at Riverside Speedway in California. It was a road course, and he got killed there during a NASCAR Winston Cup race actually, and he hit a wall basically head on, and due to the safety stuff at that time, and if he'd have done that today, he'd have lived, but he hit a wall head on, and essentially his belts separated, which basically blew his aorta out of his heart.
Because he didn't have a sternum strap.
So it was essentially a instant.
Well, but really, if it was today, because of safety has come along such a long ways, that it would be likely.
Well, seats have come a long ways, and helmets and belts and everything's come such a long way now that like I said, he wouldn't have died from the impact he took then. But anyways, that's what that memorial race is about.
Well, and I think that's cool. So, by the way, you can of course check out our Racing Rewind YouTube channel, and it's we're having a lot of fun with that. We're doing three races. We're posting 3 races a week. So, any of you guys that have some older races, there's no time frame on them. I mean, we're not trying to. We're not competing with like Dirt on Dirt or Speed 51 and doing anything that's new. But if you've got some stuff in your archives, or even if they're already digitized,
I mean,
cool.
ideally, we're kind of talking about like races old enough to be on videotape.
Yeah, they're like VHS tapes.
So,
but if you've got them digitized, that makes it easier.
I mean, if
for
you
me.
already got them digitized, that'd be great.
I can slap some screens on them and also attribute them to your collection, and then you've got a place. If you've got some of those races in your collection, connect with me. We'll see about getting them on the channel, and then it's something that you're able to share with other people through YouTube instead of just having them on a hard drive or on a VHS tape somewhere.
I mean, think about it. I mean, you can like post them on your Facebook page, and like all your friends can see what you did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's just or
30 years ago,
something,
like this.
something really, really special, really special. But I think the key, talking about safety though, is that we do have a lot of great advantages today, but we need to not take it for granted, and we need to not get lazy with it.
Oh no, I agree. No, I mean safety. Yeah, I mean I don't want my son getting hurt racing cars. I took when I grew up racing, it was that time where there was essentially no safety. I mean your dad did the same thing.
Well, hey, as long as you had white pants on when you were in the pits, that was
you had to have white pants on in the pits so you didn't get run over by a race car. But
and you probably had to have a fire suit.
Yeah, you had to have a fire suit. You had to have a helmet, and gloves. Well, you didn't have to have gloves.
In most places, you still don't even need to have gloves today.
Correct.
Or they're not mandated anyway.
I mean, my parents always made sure that I had the best helmet, the best fire suit, and the best gloves, and the best shoes that was out there. I never wore the underwear, didn't do any of that stuff, but...
Well, and now I would say if it was, I think one of the most important pieces of safety equipment, not just because I sell them, just because I believe in them so much, is having a fire suppression system like Fire Bottle.
That's the one thing I always ran. And I ran a fire suppression system since I started racing, actually.
Well,
in 1987.
Well, and my dad was racing a year after I was born. So he's been racing since the 70s. Because remember, I'm 40-something. We're not giving that up.
Right.
But I always remember my dad always had a fire extinguisher in his car. I mean, fire suppression systems didn't exist back in the mid 70s,
right.
you know. But he always had a fire extinguisher in his car. So I just thought it was something that everybody did.
Well,
I was shocked when I found out they didn't.
Our fire suppression system at the time was actually from Fire Bottle.
Yeah.
Who you deal with.
Uh-huh.
And it was a pull system. So, I mean, if you caught on fire, you pull the frickin' pin, you know, pretty much puts you out or whatever. But that was back in the days of halon.
Yeah.
So we're riding around there with halon, which will kill you.
Well, it can. I mean,
it can. But essentially, we're riding around with halon, which will kill you. But that was our fire suppression system at the time.
But it also kills oxygen, so it puts out a fire.
Now, the best thing I've seen in the advancement of these systems is the automatic deal.
Yeah.
Where, you know, if I roll over 5 times, I'm going to be knocked out. I can't pull the damn trigger. But you got this little glass that breaks, and it puts you out.
Yeah.
Even though you're unconscious. And I think that's brilliant. So.
Now, I have a question. I actually don't know the answer to this one. Sometimes I ask a lot of questions I know the answer to already. But have you ever been in a situation where you actually had to use your fire bottle?
No.
That is great.
No, I've been in situations where I probably should have.
Okay. But you just, at that point, you're not thinking about your fire bottle, you're just getting the hell out of the car.
Well, no, I'm thinking about the fire bottle because I'm going, this thing cost me $600. I'm not pulling the trigger on this damn deal. I'm getting the hell out of the damn car. Now, I raced in Australia one time. One time I raced in Australia.
One time at band camp?
One time at band camp in Australia. I was racing in a place called Mildura. And back in the day, this is 1991, 92, we had the late models over there had fiberglass bodies. And we're all running methanol and all that. I'm sure anybody that runs methanol knows the flames you blow out. So I pulled in after a heat race, and we all pitted in the infield, and there was grass there where I pulled in and stopped. And the grass caught on fire from the methanol, and then the methanol in the grass then caught the whole door on fire.
Ooh.
And I heard people screaming and yelling as I'm shutting the engine off, and my whole door is on fire now I'm sitting on the right-hand side because it's right-hand drive. And I look to my left, and here's this dude running across the pit area with a fire extinguisher, and I see him trying to pull the pin. And it's almost in slow motion. It's like kind of rolling over, you know, that kind of thing. Everything happens in slow motion. So this guy's like trying to pull the pin. He gets to the car, and he literally, rather than shoot the door, puts the fire extinguisher hose through the window and blasts me straight in the face with dry powder.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a hell of a deal. I don't know if anybody's ever breathed or tasted dry powder, whatever the hell that shit is. It's horrible. It's completely horrible. But yeah, that was the only or one of the only times I've ever, thought about pulling the pin.
Interesting. Good safety talk.
Yeah.
All right. And Danny says that he learned about the hooker harness rewebbing thing from Top 5 Tuesday.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
That's pretty cool. So Mike asks a question. He says, Steve, what about HEI plug wires?
It's a vague question.
Well, I'm going to interpret it and I'm going to ask it in my own way. So what plug wires would you recommend for somebody who's running an HEI distributor?
I would recommend either the fast fire wire that she sells or the Moroso Ultra 40s.
Yep. And I don't sell the Ultra 40s, but I do sell the fast, and it's going to come with a coil wire. You just don't need it, or you can...
Now, what I can tell you is, like, on my own son's car, we had, like, the $99 Moroso wires on there. And now this is not an HEI. This is a fast system and all that stuff. And we actually had some problems with the wires.
Really?
And replaced them with the fire wires. Matter of fact, I might owe you a few bucks for the fire wires. Sorry about that. Just kind of grabbed them off the shelf.
Wow. Does this look like my surprised face right now? This, by the way, not the first time. Not
But
the first time.
what was interesting, and I don't remember the exact number, so I can't tell you right here, but my brother actually started doing the resistance, or checking resistance on the wires, and the resistance on the $99 wire versus your Firewire was like night and day.
Wow.
It was, the standard Morosa wire is just a horrible piece of shit. Now, what I can tell you is their Firewire is good wire. I mean, not their Firewire, their Ultra 40 is a good wire.
Yeah.
But their standard run-of-the-mill, whoever makes that shit, it's junk.
Wow. That's really good to know. I mean, I've always liked the Firewire because they've got that beautiful heat shield. The construction is gorgeous. And when I was first learning about the Firewire, Terry Johnson from Fast, he was telling me how it really blocks the electronic noise. Because there's all of this, like, electrical
Which
interference.
is really important.
All this electrical interference that's going on in the car. And I was like, first of all, I had no idea what he was talking about. So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But what really convinced me is being on the dyno and watching as you guys go ahead and clamp onto the wire.
Watch the dyno glitch out when it's shitty wire.
No. Different story. You guys put the clamp on the wires and you got no reading. And you got no reading because they were so shielded.
Yeah, you have to pull the shielding back.
You had to pull that back in order to.
Correct.
It just was bad.
But yeah, I mean, but you also same thing. You put the connector on like a shitty plug wire.
Yeah.
And it's like you get such massive interference. The computer's like literally, I don't know, fuck from here to your kitchen away, or not quite that far.
Well,
from
no,
here
I
to
mean,
the table inside away. And
yeah, we're talking. It's social distancing. That's the other word.
I mean,
it's about 8 feet away.
The what do you call it? The radiation, I guess.
Yeah.
Is so horrible that it like completely like glitches out our computers when we're trying to run cars when they got shitty wires or there's something majorly wrong with the ignition system.
Wow, I know we've definitely had some just great results with the Fast Firewire, and I mean it's rated at only 30 ohms per foot resistance.
Well, I mean I'm gonna tell you right off. I mean the reason the reason you sell it is because I told you to, and the reason I told you to is because Nelson from Nelson Specialties told me to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no bigger guru in the electronic world to me as far as race engines go than Nelson from Nelson Specialties.
Yeah.
And
one of the nicest guys ever, too.
Yeah, I'm not going to not listen to him.
Right.
Guy's brilliant.
You're not going to call like an expert in his field and argue with him?
No, I'm not going to argue with him. No.
No, I'm just saying that just because we both run into that a lot. Okay. Now, here, big kudos to you, Steve. You just have picked up a new job because Josh Christopher is now making you his new tech director.
All right.
Yeah.
I do not want to be a tech man.
Nah, but honestly, though, I mean, I think you'd be open to any series ask you or consult with you on rules that they're thinking about making.
I've got no problem consulting about rules.
Yeah.
I will consult about rules all day long. As far as being like anything to do with tech, no, I don't want to have anything to do with it because you've got series out there right now where they've got people that are their national tech directors, stuff like that, where they also build engines. That does not need to be in place. You've got series such as I'm gonna say Rush. You've got.
Well, you want an independent tech director.
You've got Crate Racing USA where they have independent tech directors.
Yeah.
And who have nothing to do with doing this shit daily like I do. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to confer about rules, no problem. You want me to be a tech director? I'm bowing out because it is not my job to call somebody else's shit wrong. It's your job as the series.
Yeah. But I think it's good to know. I mean, maybe that's something you need to put on your website is that, hey, series, we're happy to consult with you on any rules that you're considering. And
I mean, I could.
I think it'd be a good thing to do. All right, we got a new question. So Mikey asks, he says, on a 602 ran on dirt, I've been told to remove the 2 plugs on top of the intake manifold. I don't believe these are water ports. Your opinions?
They're not water ports, and just leave them plugged. It has no effect. I've had people show up at my shop where they've got those 2, and on either side of the carburetor, there's like 2 half-inch pipe plugs.
Okay.
And I've had people like show up there where they've got water plumbed from the water neck to those two plugs.
Okay.
It goes nowhere. It's blank. So do not do that. Yeah, just don't unplug them. Just leave them plugged.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. Ken mentions that, everything gets washed down with a beer. Yeah.
This is true. I agree.
So probably back to your fire extinguisher foam or foam.
That was dry powder.
Yeah, that. I couldn't think of the words.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I struggle a little with words sometimes.
It was horrible.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions.
But me and my buddy Bert, we the night before that, we all went out to a bar. Of course, that's what we did over there. We drank and raced. But we didn't drink on race day, but we drank and raced.
Yes.
Me and my buddy Bert go out to a bar one night, or the night before this whole thing happened. And Mildura in Australia is a grape picking place. So it's about like Napa Valley. So it's like where grapes are grown in Australia. And for their awesome wine, Australia's got badass wine. So we go out to the nightclub, and this dude goes walking by, and this guy is like probably 6'5", 250, built like a brick shithouse. And me and Bert were laughing about something, and he thought that we were laughing about him.
Oh.
And he turns around, and he's like, "What'd you say?" And I'm 21 years old, 5'10", 150, and Bert's, 36. I'm not calling his age out, but he's 36 and Bert's he's close to his size, but he's way smaller than this dude. And I'm like, "We weren't talking about you." And the guy goes, "How do I know you weren't talking about me?" I'm like, "Because we're Americans. We don't know anybody here." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let me buy you a beer." So.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Never had a problem over there.
All right. Okay, so here we got a couple more questions. We did get some more questions in. So Caleb says, "Oh, this one's for me, but I have a feeling I'm going to be leaning on you."
There you go.
So it says, "Kate, putting your anti-reversion muffler on a Schoenfeld header. How does it compare with the Profab headers on a 604? And should it be mounted directly to the collector?" Well, Caleb,
Which
I'm
header?
actually
Which header?
Which
Schoenfeld header?
Schoenfeld header? I don't know.
S.
Okay, so Caleb, if you could, looks like we got a dirt lay model here on his profile picture. So.
Yeah, which Schoenfeld header?
Okay, so we'll wait for.
Because there's 82 different designs, so.
Okay, so it's going to be their 604.
Well, which header? The long tube.
Okay.
Triple step, or the long tube double step, or the short tube, or there's a bunch of different kinds of headers. Now, in general.
Oh, long tube primary.
Long tube primary triple step.
Triple step, Caleb. We'll wait for him to answer here. No, not sure exactly. I'm guessing it's probably an 1 5/8 to 1 3/4 to a 3-inch collector.
Well, if it's that one with the.
Because that's the most common one.
There's 1 5/8 to 1 3/4 to 1 7/8. There's that one. Then there's the other one that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Either one of those two, if you're going to run that, you need to run the, because they're long tube, you need to run the muffler right at the end of the collector.
Okay.
Which is what we found to be best. How does it compare to the Profab? There is no comparison. And I got the Profab hat on, but I'm not trying to sell you Profab. I'm just telling you, if you want the best of the best, there's where you need to go right there.
But to Profab.
To Profab, correct.
Mm-hmm.
The Schoenfeld, there's nothing wrong with it. It runs fine. I got plenty of customers running it. But where I cross the line as far as do you want to buy a $500 set of headers or an $1,800 set of headers, is where are you racing?
Yeah.
Are you racing at Podunk dirt track in Northeast Texas where you can't get a hold fall to the ground because with your 604 because it's so slick. Yeah, I don't care what header you run. Doesn't matter. You're still gonna run good. Are you gonna go to Cherokee, South Carolina, or Gaffney, South Carolina, at Cherokee Speedway? You better have the best of the best. So it just really depends on where you run.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer.
Oh, it is a good answer.
And I think the other...
And it's true. That's what I'm saying, is because, I mean, are you going to go to Bulls Gap? You better have the best of the best. Are you going to go to 411? You better have the best of the best. Are you going to go to, I don't know, freaking Dog Hollow? It probably doesn't matter what header you run.
Well, I think the big thing that makes a difference, too, is, you know, are you going to go to a track where it's going to be like a whole crash fest in order to get anything done, or are you racing with the guys that have the best equipment available?
Exactly.
And I think all of those things. Yeah.
It's what you need to win.
Right. So, when you mention some of the places like here in North Carolina, people are buying the best of the best of the best.
Correct.
And that's what you're running against, and you're going to be behind. But yeah, if you're going to a crash fest, I sure as heck don't want to be spending that much money.
Not necessarily a crash fest. I'm just saying, like a short little slick shithole racetrack. You don't need the best of the best. You need something that's going to get you around there consistently. So you don't need to invest $1,850 in headers. You need to invest. You can invest $400 in headers.
Right.
And probably be just fine.
Cool deal. All right. So I got another question. I haven't read this yet.
Mm-hmm.
So Larry asks, "Do you race now? And what is your opinion on the late models I raced with Moyer in 2001, getting into racing again, and it from 800 horsepower to 400 horsepower, so I'm changing the front to the updates, but just got to go see what it will do on the track, and just with that would give us more power." So if you're pulling a 2001 late model out of storage...
Do I race right now? No, because I'm letting my son actually race.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say letting my son. He's done better than I ever did as far as like getting sponsors and everything else, but no, my son's racing right now. I think the last time I ran was like 3 years ago, something like that. I came from supers I ran supers all my life and went to crates in 2008 because our customer base was going that way, so I had to be able to relate to them and be able to talk to them and understand what they were saying, so we went that route. And yeah, it's a massive difference between 800 to 400. Again, depending on where you're racing. I mean, if you're racing in North Carolina, like where we're at, yeah, it was a huge difference transition-wise between 800 to 400. We had to free the car up, for instance. I mean, and one thing I learned once you start crate racing is I always had my super late model way too tight. And so there's things you learn from crate racing that actually, I think, in a sense, make you a better super late model driver. And you can look at Jonathan Davenport, you can look at Brandon Overton, you can look at these guys who grew up crate racing and went into supers and still dabble between the two, and they're better race drivers for the fact that they run crates.
Great.
I don't understand the last part of the question, but
well, I guess you'll just have to see what it's going to do on the track. And, with that,
I mean,
give them more power.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, just free the thing up from what you would normally run.
Yeah. And Caleb confirmed he thinks his headers were a double step, so
okay.
So that was what we described there.
Yeah, I mean, right at the end, into the collector.
Well,
now the long tube, like going back to that whole subject, what we found is the longer the primary, then the closer the muffler needs to be to the collector.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, like back when we pushed Dynatex really hard, we kind of found a happy medium with those guys, and we were running pretty short primaries and about 14 inches of extension, and we had the muffler, and that was what was producing peak power at the time. When we got involved with the Profab guys, number one, their header came out of the box just phenomenal, and we were fortunate enough to make it just a little bit better with what our anti-reversion stuff. and those run right at the end of the collector. Even though it's not as long as the Schoenfeld deal.
Yeah.
But we found what worked best for that header, because that header is so efficient to start with that essentially you can run the Dynatech header, the Profab header. You can run the Profab header with no muffler, and you're essentially going to be equal to a Schoenfeld with a muffler.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Because the header's so efficient.
Right. No, I've learned a lot today.
Well,
I think everybody's learned a lot.
Of course,
today.
when you're building Formula One headers, that's the guys I want to go with.
That is true. Yeah, and I got to visit their facility. It's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't film most of it. I got like one little shot where I could film, but that was it. Because everything else,
There's a lot of top secret shit there.
Yeah, there's a lot of top secret stuff there. So but it's cool to be able to experience that. Can you believe we've been at this for about an hour and a half now?
Really?
So you know what that means?
What?
It's time to be barbecue, Steve.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So do we
that.
want to share what we're eating tonight?
You can.
Yeah, so we're going to have some beef from the farmer's market that you're going to be the grill master of.
Yep.
And they probably some snow peas, and I don't know, that's about as far as I got. So, what you're barbecuing. Maybe some coleslaw. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We make it work. Oh, homemade bread from the farmer's market.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the other piece too. So.
Yeah, don't. Let's not do the what'd you do the other night? Your fucking German thing.
You didn't like my sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut. Holy shit.
As I look at my hat in the video here, it kind of makes me think it's like one of those Germany type
I
of hats.
cleared my sinuses out. I'm telling you that.
Well, at least it was one less thing for you to be bitching about then.
Well, that's true.
So I think that was good. Great, and I see a lot of thank yous here. Thank you all for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for anybody who's catching this show on the replay, whether you're on YouTube or catching the podcast. Hit that subscribe button. We're always want to add you to our team here. So thank you for being here. Do you have any other famous last words here?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Hey, we'll see you guys next week on Unsealed Life Beyond the Bolts. Thank you so much for watching.
Later.
Bye.